Hi everybody, I'm Anarina Hyman.
Hi, I'm Sean Zelligaster.
And we are starting the book of Samuel.
Welcome.
Sean, we just saw at the tomb of Samuel. You spoke a little bit about Samuel, the character of Samuel. Before we go into the book of Samuel, I just want to give our viewers a little bit of a review of what happened up till now so that we can really appreciate who Samuel was and what he did. So we have Yetziat Mitzrayim, Israel comes out of Egypt, and then we have Matan Torah, where they receive the Torah. Afterwards, Moshe takes them through the desert for 40 years, and then he brings them to the borders of Eretz Israel. From there, Yeshua takes them into Israel, and he helps them to find the borders, to allocate the borders, and then after his death they are left by themselves. Every tribe has to settle in the land, and we see that there is a lot of obstacles in the way. You also pointed out that they mostly settled in the hill country because the nations were settled in the valleys already. And we see that they get intertwined with idolatry all the time. Every time God raises up a judge, and then after that they keep on falling back into that. Not only battling the nations, but at the end we saw the whole book finishes with a very difficult story where they have to preserve the moral integrity of the nation itself. And throughout we see that it's mentioned all the time that there was no king in Israel. It keeps on repeating itself, and every man did what was good in his eyes. Enters Samuel. Samuel needs to come and unite the nation. The chapter rightfully starts with the story of Samuel's mother, Hannah or Hannah. And she provides us with a model prayer that guides us right through the centuries. Sean, we're standing at the place where this whole story happened. That's the beauty of Eretz Israel. That's the amazing thing of doing these videos, to show our viewers where it actually happened. Can you tell us more about the story itself?
Let's take a view around. Hi, here we see around us some of the city walls of ancient Shiloh from ancient periods. And in the background you see the hills of Ephraim. This is where the story takes place. Elkanah lives at Ramatayim Tzofim in these mountains, the hills of Ephraim. We do not know the exact location of Ramatayim Tzofim. He has two wives, Hannah and Pninah, and the whole family every year makes the pilgrimage to Shiloh. As we've spoken before, Shiloh is a central gathering place for the Israelites. It's where the ark is located, and they come from the hills of Ephraim here to Shiloh.
And that's what we read in the first few verses. They come up to bring the offering. The family eats the meal together. But we see through the verses that Hannah is crying. And we want to know a little bit more about that. And the Tanakh sheds some light on that, saying that she was barren, that Peninnah was mocking her because of this. And she was really having a very hard time. So after the meal, she was making her way to the Mishkan, to the tabernacle, to pray.
There in the tabernacle, she says her very, very famous prayer, and she proposes to God a very modest and humble deal. If you will give me a son, she says to God, I will give the son to you. It's all she has to offer, and she offers to God what she's being given, asking for a son.
So Hannah makes the promise. She's praying at the tabernacle, and this is the point where Eli sees her, and he thinks she's drunk, and he confronts her on this, and she says she's not drunk, she's very distraught. That's where he blesses her, and he wishes her that God will grant her her request.
Yes, and when God grants her request, she has a son. The son, of course, is called Samuel, in Hebrew Shmuel. And here we see one of the interesting things about the naming process of people in the Bible. When Samuel is named, the name is a chance for the mother to express her feelings. And here she expresses her feelings. She says, I'm calling him Samuel, for I have loaned him or borrowed him from God. Samuel is a play on the words sha'al, to ask. Ask in Hebrew also means to loan. And she says, I have loaned him from God. I have asked him from God. I asked God to give him to me. And I have also loaned him because I promised God that I would give him back. And so he's on loan to me, she says.
Sean, we see that names play a tremendous role in the Bible, even the names of God, with the attributes of God. What can you tell us more about names in the Tanakh?
In general, names often foreshadow the person's achievements in life or activities in life. And of course, in the case of Samuel, the idea of his name being based on the idea of asking foreshadows his role as someone who intercedes for the Israelites, asks God to help the Israelites both in battle and in many other ways throughout his career.
So we see this promise being fulfilled, and then Hannah brings him, after she weaned him, she brings him back to the tabernacle and she presents him to Eli.
And here again, the idea of his being on loan is reflected. She makes a very interesting statement. She tells Eli, I am the one who stood here to pray in verse 27. God gave me the request that I asked from him, and now I am loaning this child back to God. All of his life, he will be loaned to God, she says.
And then the chapter finishes where Eli and Hannah bows down, and that is Eli acknowledging that this promise came true.